Hey, gorgeous. Welcome to Season 2 of the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L.E Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Kayla Smith, CEO of the Hormone P.U.Z.L.E Society, a women's health hub for fertility, hormones, and the business of coaching, creator of the Hormone P.U.Z.L.E method, an infertility warrior, two-time boy mom, and women's health expert. This podcast is for women struggling with infertility, painful periods, terrible PMS, or really just any symptom of hormone imbalance that they are ready to eliminate for good. Tune in weekly as we interview amazing experts in the fields of women's health, breaking down those hormone walls, nerding out on nutrition, and having way too much fun. Whether you're beginning your journey or you've been struggling for years, we're going to finally help you put those pieces of your hormone puzzle back together so that you can get pregnant and eliminate those pesky symptoms for good. Are you ready? This season is packed with even more expert guests sharing groundbreaking knowledge, giving you that jolt of energy that you so desperately need, sending you lots of virtual hugs, and inspiring you to take your fertility into your own hands and make that baby. Thank you so much for tuning in. Now let's get started on your road to transformation. Kristen Jones is an APACE accredited embryologist with a master's degree in reproductive medicine. After going through her own struggles to conceive, she founded I Like My Eggs Fertilized to help educate about all things fertility to help make the experience more positive and less stressful. Let's welcome Kristen to the show. Hey, Kristen, thanks for being here. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so tell us a little more about who you are, and you have your own story with infertility, so I'd love to hear that.
Okay, so my name is Kristen and I am an embryologist in Perth, Australia. And I started my page, which is I Like My Eggs Fertilized, because of my own struggles to conceive. When my husband and I started trying, we actually already knew before we started trying that I had a known issue. So I think it was about 2 to 3 years before we even started trying, I went and took myself off to see an endocrinologist because ever since a teenager, I just wasn't getting regular periods. I think they were like 6 weeks apart, 8 weeks apart, a few months apart sometimes.
Oh my goodness.
So I knew that there was already something wrong there because just never in my life have I ever had a 28-day cycle. So I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome then and there. So I already knew ahead of time, which was the best thing. I'm so glad that I had that head start going into trying to conceive. I already knew that we would likely need some help. So we went to see, so I was diagnosed, and then when it was time to conceive, I was able to go straight to a fertility specialist because I'd actually done some tracking for well over a year. In the year before we were trying to conceive, I was doing tracking with bloods at my work. Luckily, I was able to do that, but also with my temperature and trying to do the cycle temping. And some months I was ovulating and some months I wasn't, and every month it was a different day. And I just knew that trying to get pregnant on my own was not going to be quick. It probably would have happened eventually, but I know that the chance of actually capturing that moment every month, if it was that month, was going to be very slim. So I went to see a specialist and he put us on ovulation induction. So I was kind of like, oh, this is great. This is going to happen straight away. I'll probably get twins. I've got many twins in my family. And I thought, I'll probably get twins. I was scared that the medication was going to be too strong. And in reality, it didn't work at all.
Oh,
nothing happened. Yeah. So I was just having blood test after blood test after blood test and nothing was happening. And I had a cancelled cycle. And then the following month again, cancelled cycle, but somehow I ovulated on my own in between, like after that cancelled cycle, and we did get pregnant. Wow. So we did get a little girl from that cycle.
Oh, yay.
Yay. Awesome. So that was good. And then when it was time for my second to try for a second pregnancy once again, it was actually a lot more difficult the next time. I was ovulating and then I wasn't ovulating, and then the doctor wouldn't put me on the medication because he saw that I had ovulated. And then I just had many failed cycle after failed cycle after failed cycle. And that really took a toll on my relationship and took a toll on myself, because my whole world just became obsessed with it. It just took over everything, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing, to help kind of take the stress out of it and educate people as to what might be going on. So I had another cancelled cycle, and then I can't remember what happened, but my estrogen dropped before it had peaked. So yeah, I was, every month I'd check to see when my estrogen would peak, and then I'd know that I'd ovulate soon. And this one particular month, my estrogen just dropped. I think I got to 500 instead of 1,000 and just dropped. And they just said, oh, well, wait for next cycle, and then we can consider doing IVF then. And somehow that cycle I got pregnant. So I don't know what happened there.
Oh my goodness. You have some angels on your side, I think.
Yeah, I do not know what. I don't even know what happened there. But we did find afterwards, because I went for my ultrasound and I was told that unfortunately there was no heartbeat.
Oh no.
So I was like, oh my gosh, like I just did not think that would happen to me. My levels had been going up so nicely. I hadn't had any cramping or spotting, and the doctor actually did another scan and found out that there was another baby in there. So the sac that he found did not have a baby in it, but the other sac did. So that's my little boy.
Oh wow.
That was very stressful, and we had quite a stressful pregnancy with that. Yeah, we had a lot of issues with that. Not a lot of issues, but we had a very stressful pregnancy, and we were very lucky to get him in the end. And I think it was kind of going through that procedure with my first pregnancy and my second pregnancy that was just so stressful that I really felt when I got back to work and I was seeing all these people that just could not get pregnant, even with IVF, I just really felt that I was ready to start this. I felt really cool to do this. And it's pretty much I'm doing it to make it a positive experience and take the stress out of it.
Yeah, I love that. And oh my goodness, I'm so glad your story has a happy ending and you have your two children. That is amazing.
I'm very lucky.
And it is. I mean, I feel like that's why so many of us do what we do, is because, I feel like I didn't have the support I needed when I was going through my fertility struggles. And I'm sure you felt the same way. It's very lonely and isolating and all of those things. So thank you for what you're doing to help with that. It's really needed in the world. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's talk a little more about some things that you can do to kind of, before you start trying to get pregnant. Are there things that you should be thinking about as far as like diet and lifestyle and anything like that can help your body kind of prep for pregnancy?
Yes, I always say to get as healthy as you possibly can. If you are drinking a lot of alcohol, if you're not trying to get pregnant, then that's probably okay. But if you are starting to think about in the next few months trying to get pregnant, then definitely cut back on that, nightly few glasses of wine. Try and cut back as much as you can. Your partner as well, if you've got a male partner, definitely try and get him to do what he can to keep his sperm nice and healthy. So I say just try and stay healthy, cut back on your cigarettes if you smoke, alcohol, and see a doctor for a preconception visit as well, because they may want to test you, have some blood tests for like vitamin D and your thyroid and your iron, to see if any of those are low. I know that my doctor did that. What my doctor didn't do though was check for immune status, but I know that some doctors do. I ended up finding out in my second pregnancy that I wasn't immune to chickenpox anymore, and I wasn't allowed to have a booster until after I'd given birth, whereas a lot of doctors actually will test you for that before you get pregnant. So I say, see your doctor and let them know about any supplements or medications you're taking, because some of those may or may not, be safe for pregnancy. Anything, even things simple like antihistamines, sometimes they can dry up the cervical mucus. So your doctor may want to know that. They might suggest something different that you can try. Fertility friendly lubricant, like a sperm safe lubricant, because a lot of the standard ones on the market might be oil based and are not sperm friendly, because if you see that under the microscope, it literally looks like the sperm are trying to swim through big globs of oil.
Oh, no.
So I have seen that under the microscope. So, and I don't have anything particular that I recommend, and I'm sure different countries have different brands that they would sell, but I would say anything that's marketed as sperm safe, I'm assuming would be tested considered sperm safe. So I'm in Australia, and I just went to our local Priceline is what we've got over here, and there's a brand called 4Life. So that's just the one that I use. It's called Sperm Friendly Lubricant. So that's something that I've told some of my friends about, and I'm like, oh, I had no idea. They just didn't know.
Yeah, I think we have something here called Pre-Seed.
Yep, I've heard of that one.
Friendly, yeah.
Yep. So anything like that, I'm assuming, should be good or better than just your normal stuff. And the other thing that you can do before you start trying to conceive is, if you already know, like myself, if you already know that you've got a problem, such as you get really heavy periods or painful periods, then go to a doctor and get checked out even before you start trying. So I've had friends that were diagnosed with endometriosis well before the time that they were going to start trying for a baby, because they already knew that they were having issues that weren't quite normal. So anything that you do in terms of that is a good head start, because I think you don't want to just say, oh yes, let's start trying for a baby, and then you've got to go through all of that and you've got those issues of trying to sort through. So I was quite grateful that I knew ahead of time to do that. The other thing that I would say as well is get a semen analysis if you're trying with a male partner. I've seen a lot of people waste a lot of time trying on their own, not knowing that there's a sperm issue. So the amount of times that happens is, would be surprising to most people. To me, it's not surprising anymore. But I've seen people get to the day of their IUI and then find out that their sperm's not actually IUI quality. Because they might have told the doctor that they've had a test somewhere else, or they've had a test many years in the past and their sperm's not that good anymore. So I definitely recommend to all my friends that message me and ask me, I say get a semen analysis. And then that way even whether it's, chances are it's going to be fine. And if not, then yes, that's an unexpected result that you don't want, but at least and you'll have an idea of what you need to do moving forward, and you're not going to be wasting that time.
I love that. Yeah, I always recommend, semen analysis, even a hormone workup, because sometimes I'll have people that are trying and they can't get pregnant, but they don't know what the hormones look like. So I always suggest get that done. Make sure you know what's going on. If you have any conditions that you need to be knowledgeable about, then definitely do that.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's talk about IVF. Kind of walk us through what that looks like. I know people listening to this podcast are all over the board with fertility. Some are doing assisted reproduction, some are doing natural, but I think the more education we can provide, the better. So let's kind of talk through that. What does an IVF cycle look like?
Yep. So different doctors and different clinics have, different protocols that they're going to do. But essentially an IVF cycle will start with the doctor's going to monitor you to see where you're at in your cycle, might wait for your next cycle to start, or they may start in the later phase of your current cycle. And they need to give you drugs to inject yourself to hyperstimulate your ovaries. So each month we normally release one egg, but we're going to need to have a lot more than that for IVF. So it's called hyperstimulation. And so you'll be taking daily injections and probably several different drugs as well, because while we're stimulating those ovaries, we want to suppress ovulation as well. So chances are you're going to have quite a few different things that you're going to need to take, and you'll be regularly monitored. Some doctors will do lots of blood tracking, some doctors will do ultrasound tracking, and they're going to see how those follicles are growing and how your estrogen levels are rising. And then when they think you are ready, they will give you what is called a trigger injection, and that's going to finish the maturation of those eggs and get them ready for the egg collection, which will be about 36 hours later.
Hey y'all, it's Coach Kayla here. I hope you are loving this episode as much as I am. We will be back in just a minute, but first, a word from our sponsors. Hey love, I am so excited about our latest project at the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L.E Society, the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L Membership Club. This membership club aims to empower and educate all the women struggling with infertility, and it teaches you how you can get pregnant and balance your hormones using a step-by-step process of the Hormone P.U.Z.Z.L method and cycle syncing. It's also a community where you can get real-time support for all your important questions on infertility, hormones, holistic living, and connect with your infertility and cycle sisters, and have synthetic ears for letting out all your frustrations. You're not alone on this journey. We have your back. So head on over to coachkayla.com/membership to join today. Thanks, guys.
So 36 hours after your trigger injection, you will go into the clinic and be sedated, and you'll have a procedure that is known as the egg collection. So just like your ultrasound monitoring, which will be done with an internal ultrasound probe, the doctor will go in with an internal ultrasound, and there's a needle alongside it. So that needle will go through the vaginal wall and into the ovaries, and then he has a little foot pedal, kind of like a sewing machine, and that will draw out the fluid that's in each of those follicles.
Wow.
So that fluid, it's really cool.
Yeah,
And when you see it, it's really
cool.
it's really cool to see them do it in action. And that fluid gets given straight to the embryologist, and they will pour that fluid out into flat layers and have a look through to see if they can identify those eggs. And any egg that they find, they will put that aside and put that in a special fluid that will get placed in your dishes that have been created just for you at the end of the egg collection. So at the end of the egg collection, later on, 4 to 6 hours later, the eggs will need to meet with the sperm, and that will be either IVF or ICSI, so the doctor will tell you which one is best for you, and it's the following morning that we'll be able to check for fertilisation. So fertilisation is day 1, and then we'll monitor your embryo growth, so there'll be day 1 and then day 2 and then day 3. So you may not get checks every day. Different labs will have different guidelines as to when they do their checks, but the embryos will get kept in the lab in their culture media, and you might have a day 3 or a day 5 transfer. Some labs do take day 2 or day 6. It just depends what your lab wants to do, but they'll tell you when to come in and have your transfer done, or they may tell you that you can't have a transfer this cycle. They recommend a frozen cycle. So that's fine, just depending on what your situation is and what the doctor thinks is best for you. So if you're having a fresh, you'll come in on the day that they tell you to and have that embryo put in, and otherwise you'll come back in a subsequent cycle, in a future cycle, and have an embryo transfer. And then anything that's left over in a fresh cycle, we can put in the freezer for you as well. So that's pretty much the end of your journey of the eggs and the sperm in the lab. And after you have that embryo put in, you'll then need to wait until 14 days after the ovulation day to check whether the clinic will check whether you are pregnant or not.
And that's when we hear about the beta testing and to see if our beta numbers have gone up. And so, I love that. It's so amazing to think that we can create a baby like this. It's like,
I know.
It's so cool.
Really cool. Yes, and we're very lucky that we have this technology because many decades ago they never had this option. So I think we are so lucky in this day that we've even got this option, because many people in the past have never had that.
Yeah, definitely. So what are some things you think people need to know before they go into an IVF cycle?
Okay, so the main thing that is a shock for most people is that it's actually very normal to lose a lot of embryos and a lot of eggs along the way. There's going to be, in most people, not everybody, but in most people, there's going to be quite a dramatic drop-off, and they are most people are very shocked by that. So, for example, say you have had 10 eggs collected at your egg collection. That doesn't mean you've got 10 embryos. That does not mean you've got 10 tries at pregnancy. In reality, you may get 6 eggs fertilized, and then from those 6 eggs, you may have 3 that divide on. So really, to get an embryo transferred and to get 2 in the freezer, you'd be doing really well. Whereas some people are like, what? I had 10 eggs collected. Like, what do you mean? There's only 2 suitable for the freezer. So a lot of people are very shocked by that, but really that's exactly what we expect to happen. The embryos that are not developmentally competent, those weaker embryos, we do expect them to drop off, and that's actually what we want. We want to get left. We don't want to get left with 10 embryos in the freezer that we don't know which one's the best one. We don't want you to come back for cycle after cycle after cycle. We want to get left with those ones that we know have a good chance of pregnancy. So that's probably the one thing that I wish was discussed more by the doctors, or told most by the doctors, because I do find that I've had friends go through all different clinics, and a lot of them have all been very shocked by that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is there any really hard truths that you think we need to know about IVF?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, just like the one that I just said, that a lot of embryos along the way are going to drop off. So another thing is that the most beautiful embryo in the world can be genetically abnormal. That's, you can come in on the day of your transfer and you can be told you've got the prettiest AA embryo we've ever seen. That doesn't mean you're going to get pregnant. It means you've got a very good chance of pregnancy, absolutely, but that's not a guarantee.
Right.
Likewise, if you have genetic testing, you can have a beautiful genetically tested embryo put in, and your chance of pregnancy is the best that it can be out of anything we can do in the lab, but it's not a guarantee. And there's nothing in IVF that has a 100% success rate. I don't know of any clinic in the world that has a 100% success rate.
Right.
So yeah, the bottom line, so the bottom hard truth would be that IVF is not a guarantee.
And I try to explain that to a lot of people because I think that is a misconception that's out there. You know, I hear so often, I'm just going to do IVF to get pregnant. And I'm like, but it doesn't work like that. Some people, yes, IVF is wonderful. And I'm glad we have this technology, but it's not a guarantee. Just like trying to get pregnant naturally is not a guarantee. So I'm glad you're talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is there any, treatments that our doctors might recommend before we get IVF? I know we talked about genetic testing, but is there anything else that we can, be thinking about we might need to do before we go into an IVF cycle?
Yeah. So when you start to, like, people have been trying to conceive on their own and they're just not having success. And a lot of people are actually too scared to go to a fertility clinic, because they know that, oh my gosh, IVF is really, really expensive and I can't afford it and my insurance doesn't cover it, and they're just too scared. So what I would say to those people is that it's actually not all about IVF. There's actually a lot of things that not a lot of things, but there's several different treatment options that your doctor may suggest, for certain situations before you get to the IVF stage. So the first thing that they might try is hormonal tracking. So they'll take your bloods and see how you're going, see what day of your cycle you're ovulating, if you are ovulating, if you're not ovulating. So yeah, that's essentially, you just go into the clinic every few days after probably day 9 of your cycle. Different doctors will have different things there, but every few days they'll take a blood and see how that's going. The other thing is ovulation induction. So same with the hormonal tracking, that can be done with or without ovulation induction, but that's essentially, you take a drug such as Femara or Clomid, if you've ever heard of those, and they help your body to ovulate if your body does not ovulate. So those are a couple of things the doctors may try, and then IUI, which is intrauterine insemination. So in situations where if you've had testing and you don't have blocked tubes and you've got good sperm and you're still not getting pregnant on your own, then the doctor may suggest IUI. And this is where we wash the sperm. We separate it from the seminal plasma, so we just get the washed sperm, and they swim quite fast. They swim quite well. We're essentially getting rid of all the dead sperm, all the stuff that we don't want, and we end up with this liquid that's got your best swimmers in it, and that gets inserted through a catheter right at around the entrance to the cervix, and that's how you're getting kind of your best swimmers in the space that it needs to be. So that's not going to work for everyone, and it definitely doesn't have the same success rate that IVF does, but for a lot of people that does work, and it's a lot cheaper than IVF, and it's a lot less invasive than IVF because you're not getting hyperstimulated with all the injections and different drugs. You're not having the egg collection procedure, you're not having the embryo transfer procedure, so it is a lot less invasive, and a lot cheaper as well. And and the other thing is timed intercourse as well. So that is where they track you with the hormone tracking, with or without ovulation induction, and then you go in every few days for your bloods, and then you'll get a call from your nurse saying, you are ovulating, either, whenever you are in the next day or so, and they'll tell you when you need to have intercourse. So that's what actually my husband and I had to do in the end, was we did the hormonal tracking with the ovulation induction, and then that actually told us exactly when we would be ovulating.
Oh, wow. That's really awesome. I love that. Cool. Oh my goodness. Well, you are just such a wealth of knowledge, Kristen. Thank you so much for being here. And I've just loved getting to know you and talk to you. So tell all our listeners where they can find you. I know you have a wonderful Instagram account, so let's talk about that.
Oh, thank you. Yes, my Instagram is at I like my eggs fertilized, and I'm in Australia, so the fertilized is spelled with an S, not a Z. And yeah, so that's essentially just a page that I've created to do different posts on different topics related to fertility and IVF and embryology and all things fertility related, just to, educate in a simple way, positive way. I know there's websites out there that just list, pages after pages that are very confusing and painful to get through. So I like to list things clearly. I love dot points, I love lists, I love pretty diagrams. So that's what you can find from my page.
I love it. It's beautiful. I always see something I didn't know on there. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. So any final thoughts before we close out here?
No. So just the only other thing that I would say is don't delay in getting help. If you're finding that you're not having any success on your own, don't be scared to seek treatment, because treatment is, it may not be as scary as you think. And a lot of people are getting, really good results. And seek support from others. If, obviously it's going to be a very stressful time for a lot of you, and that's completely normal. So don't be scared to seek support, because there's many, many other people going through it, and you are definitely not alone.
I love it. Yes, definitely seek support and get some help. I love it. Oh, well, thank you so much. It's been so fun talking to you. I really appreciate you being here. So thank you.
Lovely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. All right, guys. Until next time, thanks for listening. Bye. Hey, hang on just 1 second before you go. I want to make sure that you are aware of all of the amazing free resources that I have for you on my website at CoachKayla.com. From a fertility meal plan, a cycle syncing quick start guide, a holistic healing cookbook, as well as master classes, blog posts by me and some amazing experts in the fields of fertility, hormones, and nutrition. So many wonderful resources that will help you on your journey. And I wish there had been something like this when I was going through my 2 years of infertility, but there just wasn't. And so that's why I decided to create all of this for you. So make sure that you go and check it out and you take advantage of this plethora of support that I have provided for you. And spoiler alert, these were some of the same tricks and the same foods that I used to get myself pregnant, not once, but twice, even after my doctors said that I couldn't. So I know that these things work. So make sure you take advantage of that. And I cannot wait for you to be my next success story. So thanks, love. See you soon. Thanks for tuning in today to the Hormone Puzzle Podcast. Check out the show notes for today's episode at CoachKayla.com. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and leave a review. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next week.